Do you think they have therapy for dogs?
Yeah, they do.
You do?
Kobe's like, I just have such a hard day.
Yeah. He's like, you guys talk too much.
How was therapy today?
Yeah, how was therapy?
It was good. I was like, dude, I cannot wait to go to therapy today. And I was like telling her, like, dude, I was telling my husband last night, like, I can't wait to talk to you because I'm just going to unload how stressed out I am. And then I told her I stopped smoking weed. And she's like, so what are you doing now to, like, relieve stress? And I was like, I go on TikTok. She's like, what else? Are you doing anything productive? And I was like, no.
TikTok.
You're doing the podcast.
That's not stress relieving.
I feel like it is.
I think it is for me. I mean,
Yeah,
I think the non-stressful...
It's productive. But I guess she wants me to work out, and I'm like, don't we all want me to work out? And then she's like, you can get a journal, and I was like, perfect, because I love having like 10 journals at once.
Journals are fun.
You have like several journals?
I thought I did. That's what my husband said. But now I'm thinking about it. I have one, but I'm noting my blood sugars in it, and I have my planner. So yeah, I do need a third one. They want me to get the 5-minute journal. I've seen it at Target, so I think I'm gonna order.
Yeah.
Why is it $25?
Is it really?
Because it's a guided one.
Yeah. Guided ones are good when you're like first starting out though.
We should just make our own guided ones.
You gifted me one. I don't know if you remember.
I do remember.
Really
I was going to gift you one this year, but I was like, will she like it? Will she not?
I really enjoy them. I've gotten them gifted a lot. I think just because I'm inconsistent in my ADHD, like I can't do it like consecutively, but I enjoy them. They're like
I gifted one to Mom and to Tia Flor.
Have they even opened it?
They have not opened it. They said they were going to do it together. They haven't done it yet.
It's very useful. Like I think it's
and
like,
it's in
good.
Spanish. They still want to. You know what? I want to share some of the things on it because it's really cool.
It's freaking Toxica. Yeah. Speaking of,
welcome to episode 2.
Yes, episode 2.
Welcome to our podcast.
We're so excited to have you guys back, and thank you for tuning in on the first episode.
I do want to say a few things. I want to thank everybody that showed us support on our first episode that we posted in Spanish.
Yes.
We promise the English one is coming soon. It's just, there's a lot to it. Gonna be honest, no idea what it is though, because my husband Ricardo, thank you so much, he's been doing all
Shout
of the
out to Ricardo.
He's doing all of the behind the scenes, and I'm there freaking waking up at 2 a.m. looking over, and he's just going back and forth with the audio, and I'm like, hey man, can you go to bed now?
Yeah.
He's like, no.
I was telling him, I was like, you probably memorized all the the first podcast already, huh? He's like, yeah.
It's funny because then he'll do like he'll go through the audios, and then it's like whoa, like all like slow.
Oh yeah, thank you, Ricardo. And shout out to Kobe. Kobe is joining us today for episode 2.
Yeah,
Kobe
is our mascot.
Annie's pup. She rescued him.
Yeah.
Super chill dog.
Remember, guys, adopt, don't shop.
Adopt, don't shop. Exactly.
Yeah. So today's episode, we're going hard.
Go hard or go home.
We're gonna go in. Another disclaimer: this is not to offend anybody. You know what I'm gonna say, but today we're gonna be talking about cutting off toxic family members and just our experiences with that. I think we all have our fair share of
family.
You know, I think last week we definitely focused the first episode on just how we are tired of what La Gente is saying and taking actions into our own hands. Right. But, you know, after we're brainstorming, we all came to the realization that, like, toxic family members and actually cutting them off is still something that I'm personally still struggling with. Lizzie
something I still struggle with.
Annie. And it's because of all the things that were, like, rooted into us since we were young, you know, like, family over everything, always support your family.
Pero son tu familia.
But, like, at what point is that toxic?
Yeah. And at what point do you decide, I have to protect my peace? You know, you guys are toxic for me, and I need to step away.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, at least for mine, like, I honestly didn't start cutting people off until, like, within the last 4 years. It was kind of a thing that, like, took me forever to realize, like, hey, like, these people you shouldn't give these people access to your life the way they are, because it just gives them access to hurt you, essentially. I wouldn't really speak up to myself when it came to family. Like, that was kind of, I just let them say whatever they wanted. I would, like, cry in silence. Like, I'd go to my room and cry about it, you know, but, like,
Same.
I would never, like, actually say something like, hey, you said this and it really hurt me. Like, I don't really know when the shift happened, like when I was like, you know what, fuck you guys, like, I'm done. But I do remember my first semester of college, I took a human sexuality class. I don't remember my professor's name at all, but one thing that I don't even remember what she looks like. That's like the crazy thing. But I remember she said,
like, but I listened.
Yeah, this particular day, it had nothing to do with like human sexuality. She had like a family emergency. She canceled class and she was like saying how she had to go visit like her parents or something like that, right? And she was like, you know, you can love someone but not necessarily like them. And I was in class and like it was like one of those like big like classes, you know what I mean? And I was like literally like looking at her and it was like one of those like scenes where like everything like fades out and it's just me like,
oh my god, the Tom and Jerry meme when he's just like,
yeah, like literally I was like, wait a minute, like I was so mind blown because
you had never heard that before.
I've never heard that. And obviously like again, like my whole life in different situations I always heard like, es tu familia, like, you know, you at the end of the day that's family and they're always going to be family and they're always going to be around. But it's like like you said, at what point do you decide like, okay, dude, like this is affecting my peace and I need to just not, you know?
Yeah.
So again, like when she said that, I was like super like shocked. I was like, dude, like it made so much sense because I related so much because I was like, this is how I feel about certain people in my family. And like it makes a lot of sense, you know? And it's just like, yeah, that was like my turning point. I think now, like when I think about it, I'm like, I think that was it. Like, I think that's what I needed to hear. But in particular, like there is, like I said, I was working on cutting people off. And so once upon a time, there was someone in my family that I literally kept bumping heads with. And there were altercations that I kept having that I would end up really hurt, you know? And there was one of the last altercations I had with this person. I just remember like feeling so disrespected and so hurt by like the words that they had to say. And again, one thing that I've learned that Kevin's dad actually told me is like, you don't need to understand people, you know? If you live your life trying to understand people, like it's gonna affect you. Oh my God, yes. Like, why do people do that? I don't know. You don't need to understand why they do that, you know, and you don't need to make excuses for people. They said what they said. Maybe they were just angry, whatever, but like you don't need to have to understand why they did a certain, you know, why they acted a certain way.
I just heard that recently on a different podcast.
Really?
Yeah, and then I was like, that's so fucking true. Like,
I'm sorry, can you guys elaborate a bit on that one? Like,
well, go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, it's just like, for example, I guess the example that he had given us this time was like, I think it was like traffic, right? Like how people can drive really dumb. And it's like, you get mad at them and you're like, well, like, why?
I know you have that a lot.
I have really bad road rage. Yeah. But it's like, you can't take your time to understand why people do the things that they do. Yeah. You know, you don't need to understand people. Like, you don't need to, like, if someone hurts you, like, you know, on purpose, it's not on you to understand why they did it. And to see, like, they had, I guess for me, I'm a very observant person, and I have noticed when people are a certain way because of, like, things that happened to them in the past. But at the same time, I'm like, it's not my job to understand you, you know, and I shouldn't have to.
It's not my job to fix you.
Exactly. Exactly. Like, yeah. It's really hard to explain, I guess. I didn't realize.
That helped me understand. Yeah. Because I was like, wait, I'm confused.
I mean, what's your interpretation? I want to hear.
It was very similar. Like, it's not your job to understand every person. And if you go through your entire life just being like, well, why did this happen? Why did this happen? Like, no estás encontrando tu felicidad. You're just trying to find somebody else's, like, life, you know, like, figure it out. And don't focus on them, focus on yourself.
I get that. I guess for me, I'm not saying like I'm perfect, but like for me, like, you know, relationships in the past where people have hurt me, and I never really, I think I got to a point where I stopped caring why, and I'm like, what's the point? Like, I just need to get over this and move on with my life. So that makes sense. Interesting.
Yeah, that's a really good, I think relationships are a good one. Like, you don't need to understand why people
why it didn't work out.
Sometimes people are just fucked up people.
Yeah.
You know what? They can live in their own fucked up world.
Yeah.
Not me though. Bye.
We're growing here. But yeah, so like within the last like 3 years, I think me and this person had like 4 different occasions where we argued, and like there was periods of times where we just didn't talk. And then again, like the last the last time that we argued, like I said, I felt very disrespected, and I didn't talk to them for like months. And I remember venting to another family member about this, and they said, well, I think you should just talk it out, because just apologize for your part of it and get over it. That's family, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, so like, dude, like, so fuck my feelings then, right? So like, fuck how I feel and fuck how they've repeatedly made me feel, and just forget it, you know?
Yeah.
I did the complete opposite. This was the first time where I was like, you know what, like, no. I'm tired of you stepping over me. I'm tired of you, like, just, it was gaslighting, because this person, like, at one point called me crazy for something that I, like, saw with my own eyes, and I was like, you can't call me crazy for something that I saw. And plus, during that time, it was, like, even harder because I had just started therapy, and I found out that I had bipolar disorder. So when they called me crazy, dude, it was, like, it affected me so much, because I was like, dude, like, my therapist is telling me one thing, and now you're calling me crazy, and I'm starting to feel like I'm actually fucking insane, you know? And it's like, I had a lot of self-doubt, and then that's when I realized, like, I'm not crazy. I saw what I saw, they did what they did, and they knew better, and I've expressed myself that I didn't like that, and they still did it anyways. It was a really hard time. I think that's something that will always, like, stick with me, where it's like, dude, I remember, like I said, venting to this family member, and then I said, like, dude, they called me crazy. And there was another family member that had the same diagnosis several years, and they would always call them crazy. And I always saw them as, yes, this person is literally insane, right? And just being diagnosed with the same thing, I was like, I guess I was so scared to follow in the same footsteps. I was like, does this mean I'm going to be, like, lashing out like this person lashes out? And it was a very scary, like, time or whatever, but
you felt very alone.
I felt very alone, and I was like, damn, like, I really am crazy.
How old were you when you got diagnosed?
Yeah.
Oh, I think I was like 18 or 19.
Is there a certain kind that you have? Because I know there's different
Bipolar
kinds.
1 disorder. So my depressive episodes last longer, and then I'll get manic episodes for, like, shorter periods of times.
When you get manic episodes, like, what is that?
It's intense euphoria. It's just, like, suddenly feeling like, for me at least, I speak for myself because I know several people have it different. For me, it's like an insane amount of, like, oh my god, my life is so great right now. Like, and it'll be crazy because I'm the type of person, when I'm really depressed, I don't reach out to people. I'm just, like, to myself. I want to be locked in my room. I don't want to talk to anybody. Having a conversation is dreadful. And when I get these, like, manic episodes, it's like an insane amount of, not like, I wouldn't say like it's happiness, but it's just like feeling like every problem that I had within the last week is just so little, and it just doesn't matter anymore. And like, I can't sleep. I'll stay awake till like really late, or I'll wake up really early even though I had slept really late, and I'll have so much energy, and I'm just like, I'm gonna clean my room, I'm gonna dye my hair, I'm gonna buy this, I'm gonna buy that, I'm gonna go here, and I'm gonna go there, and nobody's gonna stop me. And it's just like, it's like Kanye says, like, this isn't a disability, this is a superpower. Because literally when I'm manic, it literally feels like I'm unstoppable. Like, it feels like I can do anything. I can take on whatever new hobby. And that's usually when I start my new hobbies. And I'll be like, I'm gonna start cricketing. Like, I'm gonna start, like, making rugs. Or, like, I'll see something on TikTok. And it's just, that's, like, a manic phase for me.
Okay.
And then the depressive episodes, of course,
really
it's,
interesting.
are,
I honestly,
I had no idea what that means, to be honest.
Manic episodes for me are really hard, because I never knew this, but one of the symptoms, I guess, of like manic episodes, or like something that you go through, is like overspending. And it's just like, money is just like, not necessarily overspending, but just being like, I'm gonna buy all these groceries and I'm gonna make all this new food and I'm gonna do this and I'm gonna do that, and it's just like, did I really need to spend $50 on groceries to make conchas? Like, that was like my recent manic phase where I just like, I wanted to make conchas, right? And I was like, I'm gonna do it.
Did they come out, by the way?
I put too much flour.
You never brought them.
I was embarrassed. They didn't come out so good. But I'm gonna remake them, and then I'll for sure bring them. I'll probably make them like tomorrow or something. Anyways, back to that. So again, I vented to this family member, and I was like, I remember I was crying, and I was like, I feel like everyone's like turning their back on me, and like everyone's like, you know, like I don't feel like anyone is like there for me right now. And then, like I said, this person was like, you need to talk it out, apologize for your part, like I think you also messed up, and blah blah blah. A lot of it, to be honest, was like sexism, where it's like, well, if this person's this gender, they can do this, and if this person's this gender, they can do that, you know, this like type of thing.
Machismo culture.
Exactly. And I was like, dude, like, no, that's not okay. Like, just because somebody might be this or somebody might be that, like, it doesn't give them the right, like, it doesn't, you know, it doesn't give them the right to like mess up or whatever, right? So anyways, yeah, like I said, I did the complete opposite when they said like, oh, they're family, like at the end of the day, they're family. And I was like, exactly, they're family. And they did me like that. Family did me like that.
Yeah.
You know, and it's like, I remember saying that, and I was like, it just like angered me so much to hear it, because I was like, how dare you tell me this when I'm feeling this pain? And like, what friend has ever done me like that? You know? Yeah. Like, the fact that you're saying you need to forgive this person because they're family, like, if a friend did that to me, you wouldn't tell me to forgive them, you know? And it was at that point where, like, you know, finally this person reaches out and they're like, hey, like, sorry for like everything, blah blah. And I was like, apology accepted, but respectfully, I want my space from you, because I've realized that just the more that I interact with you, the more I have a possibility of getting hurt again. And it was really hard, like, I guess not talking to this person, but at the same time, it was like a sense of peace that I felt.
Good shit, Annie.
Thank you. It took a lot.
Yeah, I don't even think I can, like, I guess for me, like, the toxic family members that I can think of, I've never addressed them and been like, I apologize, like, one, they've never apologized, and I don't think they've ever even acknowledged the things that they were doing to hurt me. But I don't know, I'm so scared of confrontation, but I don't think I can even, like, be like, you're forgiven, but fuck you, like,
yeah.
I
think like that situation itself was like the stepping stone for like me to be able to do that with more people. But again, like I was saying, it was so weird not to talk to this person, because like there was never a time besides the times that we were arguing, like those few months, but just like this time, it felt like I was like, I can't, dude, like I know that being around you is just, how do you say, you put yourself in your own predicament, you know? It's like you don't get yourself out of that situation, and, you know,
you learned early on to protect your peace.
Yeah.
And it takes a lot. Like, for me personally, like, I still feel like I'm learning that. And I'm learning how to set my boundaries. And I didn't learn that until recently. And I feel like, for example, I saw Mom, like, have a very toxic childhood because of her dad, you know? And, like, I saw how much that affected her. But she also, like, same thing, you know? She was like, I forgive you, but between you and me, like, don't think there's going to be any type of, like, father relationship. Yeah. And she, like, a lot of people, I think a lot of her siblings were just like, you know, you're doing it wrong. And she was like, no, I'm not.
Yeah.
Like, I'm protecting my peace, and he is not my peace.
I think a big thing is, like, you can forgive someone, but that doesn't mean it has to go back to normal. And that doesn't mean they have to be a part of your life anymore, you know? But yeah, like, it's just, I think that at that point it was like I put my foot down and I was like, enough is enough, dude. Like, I'm not doing this anymore. And every single time that I would like be in like a non-talking phase with this person, like I was like really depressed. I was like really sad because I kind of felt like they never saw my side of it. Mm-hmm. And that made me feel even crazier, where I was like, am I the drama? You know what I mean? Like, am I the problem? Is it me? And I think if it wasn't for me being in therapy at the time, like, I probably wouldn't have handled that the way I did. But because I had someone to talk to that was like unbiased, I had a very good, very, very good guidance, I feel like, for the situation, and it helped a lot. Yeah.
Therapy, I think that has helped. Like, shout out to our therapist.
Yeah, I love therapy. Shout out to our therapist.
Yeah. She is really helping me with this part, and just like how I'm just like, well, I grew up with this, like, but they're your family, you know, like, family's family. And then like for you, for example, you were the person that you're just like, I'm not going to forgive, or you know, like, I'm not going to put myself in that situation anymore. I'm going to step out. And then you're looked as the crazy one. You're the one that looked as like, you caused the chaos because you're doing all of this, and now like everything's
they kind of see it as like I held the grudge. But it's like, no, I just didn't want to, like, why go through it again, you know?
Yeah. And I feel a lot too, like, that's how Mom has been looked at, you know, like, oh, like, she's just holding a grudge. No, she's not. Like,
no. And she can hold the grudge. Like, there's certain things that are unforgivable, and I believe the situation that she was in is one of them, you know? Yeah. Like, I know that you said, you know, you forgive, but I feel like sometimes some people don't even deserve that. That's just how I feel.
I agree with you 100%. And I think it's easy for me to always have been disassociated to him because there was never a relationship, you know?
Right.
I think Mom did that in, like, I'm going to protect my children from you because you were bad for me.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And
I fully support that she did that because I have no interest in, you know, having that relationship. I had my relationship with the one that mattered, which was my grandma.
Yeah.
You know?
Exactly.
That was more than enough for me. Yes.
Yeah. But see, like, I'm also in that situation where that's easy for me to do because there was never a relationship. I knew how shitty that person was, and that's all there is to it. But then there's the other situation that I'm still struggling with. I feel that I was at one point close to certain family members, and then shit happened, and now I'm just like, fuck, you're a shitty ass person. Yeah. And how do I stay away from you? I need to protect my peace from you because you're dangerous to me, to my health, to my mental health, you know? And I think that's my part that I'm still struggling with, that I want to move forward with. And for example, like, I 100%, like, and I think I've told you and Ricardo before, but like the way you guys handled your wedding and your guest list, that easily could have been like a whole like toxic family situation. But
yes, you know what it was? I saw a TikTok and this lady was like, "This is my wedding, not a family reunion."
Yes, and I was very much like, well, my dad calls the shots. My dad invites who he wants to invite, whether I've met them for the first time or if I haven't seen them in like 10, 15 years, you know, like he decided the guest list, he decided everything. Whereas like Nancy was very much like, no, I don't talk to that person doesn't talk to me, that person's not invited.
But I still did get kind of guilted into inviting certain people I didn't want there. Luckily some of them didn't go, and the ones that did go kept it very cordial, but
yeah,
you know.
Yeah. But it was for me, like, I feel like I was like, damn, like, Nancy has some balls. Like, I couldn't do that, you know? And I saw you do it, and it definitely, like, gave me the confidence to be like, you know what? Yeah. Like, I want to do what Nancy did.
Yeah.
So, hey.
You know, I think just kind of going back to that, I did end up putting that boundary, and I explained this to my husband while we were planning our wedding, that there were certain people I didn't want there because of the way, like for me, I always knew these people were kind of toxic because growing up, they would be my main bullies about my appearance. You know, this is, and they are criticizing me, a child, you know, and I grew up with this way because of how they spoke about me and how they treated me. But then I always kind of knew that they were this certain way, but after our dad's passing, I saw even more of their true colors. Like, some of them were blaming us for his death, you know? It's just like, you can't do that, you know? And they were guilting. So I think what's important to know here is that our dad did pass away from COVID, so in prime COVID time. And I was the point of contact with the doctor, so none of us could have gone to see him, but I was the one getting the calls. And because these people knew that I was the one getting the calls, a certain family member was harassing me constantly on the phone, sending their kids to be like, why aren't you giving up information? And it's just like, dude, I'm literally trying to, I have COVID myself, you know? I'm trying to not die because, you know, and then telling me that, like, it's my fault that he's there. You know, why did we let him get the vaccine? When it's my fault that, like, I'm not sharing information or letting them go see him. And it's just like, do you understand? Like, and I think that was the turning point for me when that happened. I was just like, I cannot let these people talk to me like this. So I just stopped answering their calls, answering their messages, and, you know, they can say whatever they want about me, but I had to do that to protect my peace. Yeah. I know what happened with my dad, and you can't go and say it's your fault. Like, I would do anything in the world to have him here with us still. Yeah. But then they felt like they had the freedom to tell me that it was my fault.
Like an entitlement over him.
And there was an entitlement over him, and it's like, how do you even have this entitlement over him? Like, you don't even, like, I was super close to Dad, and I never remember you calling him. Maybe on his birthdays, you know? And, like, how is it that you feel that you can have that entitlement over him, over us, his daughters, over Mom, his wife, his fucking partner for the last, like, 50 years and shit. Yeah. And I just personally, like, I wish I could have been like you and answer that call and be like, you know what, you're in the wrong and you need to leave me alone. I unfortunately couldn't do that. I'm still trying to learn this whole boundaries thing, but for me, like, the best thing that I could have done was just, like, I stopped answering the calls. Yeah. I stopped answering the messages.
Like I said, it took like 4 or 5 times of me getting hurt by the same person for me to be like, that's it, you know?
Yeah, and then it's like, I just have a lot of mixed feelings about that one still. Like, because I feel like this person still doesn't see what they did wrong. They still feel like what they did was right for them because they were a sibling to him. But it's just like, we all didn't want him to pass. One, you don't need to be blaming people for what happened, you know? And I think the blame didn't happen. They weren't blaming. I think the blame, you know, wasn't after he passed. It was while he was sick and hospitalized that the blame started. And then after the passing, like, they were trying to call me and things, but, like, I didn't answer the phone anymore. But it's so unfortunate because, like, this person, he had on, like, a pedestal, and then their true colors came out after. And not just, like, that's just one scenario of who, like, there's things that he had on a pedestal. I never did, just because of certain things that happened to me when I was younger with this person. And it just, like, one, it kind of sucks that, like, I obviously didn't feel comfortable saying what happened because I didn't want to break my dad's heart. But it's like, now this person, after he passed, he became, like, I already knew they were a piece of shit, but, like, now, like, they are the biggest one. And it's like, they think that they can attack us because my dad's not here anymore. But it's just like, no. And so I just rather not have to deal with them. If I have to go to the same city that they're in, I don't care if they think that I'm being stuck up, that I'm not going to visit. I don't want to see them.
You're protecting your peace.
I am.
You know, I think it's definitely like
right, Chloe?
a very different, like we're really like changing the notion of like all these like things that we grew up with, you know, like but it's your family, like protect your family, like love your family.
Like
you know?
one thing, always hug your family members when you see them. No.
Yeah.
My kids will never have to do that because some family members are, I don't even know what,
are weird.
Are pieces of shit and take advantage, and they're like, no, like I don't want to hug this person because they make me uncomfortable.
Yeah.
I should have, but I grew up not knowing I could say that.
Yeah.
And so I found myself in situations throughout my life thinking that this was okay, when in reality I could have spoken up for myself and been like, this is uncomfortable, don't touch me, Yeah. But yeah, that's one for another episode.
Yeah. And I think too, like, definitely once I became a mother, I think I very much was just like, these are my little things, and I have to protect them from like all evil.
Yeah.
And you know what, like, if like the hugging thing, like if my kids don't want to hug you, they don't have to hug you. If my kids are like, I don't feel like saying hi to them, then okay, it's not rude, because that was a big thing. That was like, ay, qué grosero es tu hijo, like, no,
you're just weird.
Yeah, they don't see you, like, if they don't see you that often, what makes you think they're going to be comfortable around you?
Yeah.
And I definitely agree with you that, like, after Dad's passing, it just, my view on just so many things switched so much, and you made a comment the other day, and you were just like, Dad was always like such a helpful person, but what did it get him, or like you said something like that.
So the conversation had to do with how I personally feel like we got guilted into helping some family, because the point that you were trying to get across was, if Dad was here, he would have helped. And so I just wanted to remind you that Dad helped a lot of people, and a lot of those people fucked him over. Mm-hmm. And it's like, we don't have to be guilty into helping people just because they're our family.
Yeah.
And
something that, again, like,
and
I very much struggle
I say
with.
that consciously because, I'm sorry, I don't mean to cut you off, but I say that consciously because, yes, there's definitely a lot of family we have that has helped us and supported us, but there's certain family that never called to see how we were doing, didn't call to see how my dad was after he was sick, after he passed, yet they still felt the entitlement to reach out and be like, I'm your family, help me.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And I think too, like, I know you're my little sister, but there's so many things about this topic, I don't want to get emotional, but like, that you have helped me with, because it is something that, like, I very much struggle with still, And
I do too, and that's why I know we came in hella badass on the first episode, like, fuck la gente, like, we don't care what anyone says, and it's like, no, like, this is something I'm still struggling with. I shout out to my therapist again. I hope you see this, but I'm learning boundaries, and you are teaching me boundaries, and I'm still so scared. I'm like, ¿qué va a decir la gente? Like, because I'm coming off as rude or anything, but slowly throughout this therapy, I'm realizing, like, no, I'm protecting myself. I'm like, I'm protecting my peace. So, I mean, going back to that, like, if I don't want to talk to these people, I don't have to, and that's what I'm realizing now. And even if it's like, well, it's what your dad would have wanted. It's like, if my dad really knew how I was being treated, what things were being said to me, he wouldn't, he would have been like, fuck them. Yeah. And when I never told him, certain things that happened, or certain ways people were saying things about me, like, because they wouldn't be hiding what they were saying. They would say it in my face. Like, I think I had one instance where one of the like, I think I was like in 7th or 8th grade, and like highlights were in, so I got highlights, and I had just gotten contacts, and I was trying out colored contacts, and they didn't say this one in front of me, but they started saying to another family member, and these are grown women, saying that, like, me, Nancy, was trying to become a white girl because I had blonde highlights and colored contacts, and it was like
everybody in the 2000s had.
I'm like,
highlights.
it's 2006, dude. Like, of course I am wearing colored contacts. I wanted to try them out. Also,
I think it too, like, and I'm not defending them, and you know I'm not justifying their actions, but I think it again goes back to like we're so oblivious. Like, so many people are so oblivious to hurtful things that they say. They don't realize they're saying it. And like for you, it was a 7th grade moment, you know, and at that moment where you're just like getting to know yourself, like learning about yourself, and then somebody like just like takes your confidence down there.
I mean, I don't know about you guys, but for me in middle school, my biggest critics were my family.
Yeah, same.
The middle school thing that you said, and you know, again, like, not justifying anybody's actions, and you know, people doing certain things hurtful to others, y no se dan cuenta, you know, and or maybe they do and they're just assholes, but a lot of times a lot of people no se dan cuenta, and it's again like I feel for me as a parent now, you know, I had to go through situations where I had to see the ugly side of people to be like, yeah, you're fucking bad for me, like I'm stepping away.
Yeah.
And now I'm a parent and I have the opportunity to let my children know, like, hey, you're 3 years old, you're 5 years old, you're 9 years old, protect your peace, you know. And I like one of my like more recent like toxic people was my situation with and that dynamic with, you know, and it was, even though we're not related, like, just that toxicity came to that every time she was here at the house. And I'm just like, okay, how do I navigate this? Because you're so little and I already see so many things. Like, what do I do? How do I protect you? How do I protect myself? How do I protect these other kids? You know, and just, I think what I've come to realize with the 3 of them is just, if I show them how much I love them, and if I show them to love themselves, to put themselves first always, like, even if it's me, like, in a moment when they feel attacked by me, like, tell me to stop, tell me, you know, because I had a hard time speaking up. I still have a hard time speaking up, and I don't want them to go through that. I don't want them to have that hard time. And I feel like that's the change that I can make. That's the change that I can do raising them now.
Yeah.
You know?
That's beautiful.
And you're
That's
doing
really
a great
good.
job.
Yeah.
Don't forget.
Love you guys.
I love you guys too.
Yeah, I love you.
Quick break for crying.
Quick.
My mommy issues right now.
Okay.
Wow. We went pretty hard today, guys. You know what? Back to our disclaimer. We're not talking shit about anyone. Maybe some I was. But
no, we're not talking shit. We're talking about how we feel, and we should be allowed to talk about how we feel. There could be people that see me as a shitty person. You know, there could be people that I was toxic to.
Same.
And
I think I was toxic to you when we were little. I'm so sorry. I take it all back.
Anyways, I was talking about Nancy the whole time. I'm just kidding, no. I think it takes a lot out of someone to cut someone off. And like Nancy said, I wish I had been like you. But again, like I said, it took me this many times for me to realize, like, enough is enough. And I'm still learning to do it with people outside of family, like friends, blah, blah, blah. Like, I'm learning to let go of people that no longer serve me and bring me peace. Because, you know, it's trial and error. And sometimes people have to learn the hard way. And I've noticed that I am a person that learns the hard way. And I have accepted that because I can't be too hard on myself because, again, there's no handbook for life. But I'm sure if I had it all figured out, I wouldn't be having such a great time because through these mistakes, I've had experiences where I've gotten to meet people and, you know, be able to do different stuff and just a lot of different situations. But yeah, I just feel like, for example, you and anybody else listening, don't be so hard on yourself because you can't cut someone off or because you can't speak up for yourself, because it takes so much, and it's something that you have to unlearn what our family like engraved in our brains, where it's like you cannot cut this person off because they are of the significance in the family or in your life.
They're the eldest, you know, they're my brother, they're my sister,
they're your parents,
like, and like I've always said, and I had to learn, like, respect is earned and it's not just given. You don't that's that's one thing. Back to another toxic family member that I also had to cut off. And I feel like this person has continued to always make comments on other people's lives and just made jokes about it. And it's like, I'm the type of person that will let it go every single time. But there comes a point where, dude, like, and that's my toxic trait. And like you said, I'm toxic to other people. I've been toxic to other people too, because I have said words to other family members or not even just family members, other people, where I'm like, you know, like, you are irritating me so bad right now that I'm about to hurt you where it's going to hurt the most. And it's going to give me so, like, that's my toxic trait. And I hate to admit it, but I'm the type of person that, like, once I've had enough, like, if I feel like giving you a taste of your own medicine, I'm going to do it. But I'm going to also, like, make sure. Yeah. And I hate that about myself. And I'm still working on it. But it's like, no, dude, like, you know, okay, so this person, again, makes comments about everyone's lives, I feel like. And it's like, what is, like, the saying, like, when you point fingers, you have, like, something amount of fingers pointing back, right? You know, like, they say that.
Oh my god. I think I know who you're talking about. And I, too, am over them recently.
Yeah. And
I have no idea what you guys are talking about,
it's just,
I like the conversation.
It's, yeah. I had to cut this person off at one point because I was like, dude, like, you're acting like you're such a significant person. Like, I've had family parties where you're not there. Ask me if I've asked about your presence. Never. And respectfully, dude, because you don't have that effect on me.
Respectfully, fuck you.
Respectfully, fuck you. Exactly. And it's like, dude, don't put yourself on a pedestal. Don't give yourself more importance in other people's lives than the importance that you really realistically have, because it's like this person will, like, talk their shit, and finally when I decided to speak up about it, they were like, oh my god, how could you say that? Yeah. It's like, dude, as if you weren't talking shit about me and, like, everyone around me to, like there was no end to it. And it's like, and then finally I'm like, yo, fuck you. And then they're like, oh, how could you? And then they like victimize themselves, and I'm like, dude, si no te, what is it? Tú te llevas, pero no te aguantas, you know, like. Yeah. Yeah. And it's really annoying, and it's just like people that are like that, where it's like, están chingue, and then finally you put them in their place, and they're like, oh my god, like, how could she do that to me? Like, how dare you?
Oh my god, do you guys remember that video? The how can she slap me?
Yeah.
I love that video.
And then they remixed it with the Millie by Lil Wayne.
Yeah. But
Young Money.
Again, like, I think it takes, it's a learning process, and like I said, I'm still learning how to do it with other people in my life too.
Yeah. And I also, like, I would really love it if people can tune in on this, because yes, it was, like, very deep stuff, but, like, how did you guys overcome your toxic family?
Or are you having trouble?
Yes, or are you just in step 1 still, like, how the fuck do I even step up? How do I speak up? You know, like,
I think that's like one thing that I've seen a lot of people, like, speak about, where it's like they tolerate so much shit because, oh, it's my mom, oh, it's my dad, oh, it's my brother, oh, it's my sister, right?
Or it's my
yeah. Exactly.
You want to get specific.
Yeah. There's just,
can you cut that?
Yeah. Slur the words, Alana.
Oh yeah, beep it.
Yeah, I think it's just, like I said, it's a work in progress.
It is, yeah.
And you'll get there eventually. But just, if you don't defend yourself, then who will? Yes. I wouldn't expect you guys, I wouldn't expect you guys to speak up for me, you know? But
we will.
Like, yeah, I know you guys will.
And I know you have to.
Yeah, but I don't expect you guys to, you know? And that's, like, one thing. It's, like, if I don't say how I really feel, because I'm sure there's been times where, like, maybe I've had an encounter with someone, and I don't tell you guys exactly how it made me feel. But I'm the one that knows. My mom has always said, like, no one knows how you feel but yourself, like, how you truly feel. So if you want to do something because it makes you happy, or you want to do something because it's good for you, do it. Like, that's one, like, good positive thing that my mom has always enforced. It's like, do you because it makes you happy, or, like, just do you, you know?
Yeah, I love that.
But that's always stuck with me, because, again, like I said, like,
he's so over all his toxic family members.
Yeah. I'm cutting you off, Mom. I'm staying here forever.
You did not bring me enough treats
He's
today.
Like, from Stockton to San Jose.
Yeah. Yeah. I think if you, it's not up to me to decide whether a boundary was crossed by someone else, like, for you guys. You know, it's up to you guys to decide. And I can't speak up for you guys, because what if you guys don't want me to, you know? So that's why I'm saying, like, if you don't do it for yourself, like, who will? You know? It's, like, but, again, like I said, take your time with it. And don't put yourself in a position that you're not ready to handle, because it's draining. Like I said, when I had to do it, it was one of the most draining times of my life, and I was, like, always so fucking sad, and I was like, bro, like, why is my entire family turning their back against me right now? Like, I felt like nobody was hearing me out, and honestly, I think it's because I'm the only one that has, like, not the only one, but I was, like, one of the first people that had gone to therapy. And I had therapy to help me, like, guide me, and I was like, oh shit, like, I used a lot of what I learned in therapy, and I feel like because some people in my family never did, they don't see certain things a certain way. And
I think the culture is just, like, they see therapy so fucked up.
La loquera. Yeah. What do they say? La loquera?
La loquera.
Yeah. Well, and, like,
and it's like, you know who needs the therapy the most, you guys.
Yeah. And
I'm in therapy because of you.
I was
going to therapy for all of us.
Yeah.
I was in a tough situation, and I talked to you about it, I think, when Dad passed. My son had a really hard time with it, and it wasn't the type of grief that we were feeling as adults. It was a different type, you know. It was, but I knew something was wrong, and I was just like, dude, like, my kid is not like this. Like, there's a behavior change, there's a personality change, like, it's affecting him. I'm gonna look for a therapist. And I mentioned to a few people that I was gonna get a therapist, or that I got a therapist, that he was doing therapy, and they're like, he's just a kid, he doesn't need therapy. Well, it's my decision, it's my child, you know. And I'm not saying my child's crazy. Like, I'm not saying there's something.
Your child was grieving.
Yeah. And it helped him so much, you know. And I mentioned this to you guys one time about a month ago that Pablo met the child therapist. Yeah. And she was just like, she barely knew us, you know. And she was like, I'm really proud of you guys for doing that, because, again, like, if you wouldn't have done it then, she was like, it would have just been more and more on him in the future, you know?
It builds up, yeah.
Yeah, and just, I got a lot of criticism for that, for taking him. But it helped him, it helped me, it helped all of us.
Well, actually, that's how we all started going to therapy.
Yeah.
Because you signed us all up for family, and then our therapist was like, no, you bitches need more work individually.
Yeah.
And I was like, I sure do.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's hard. It's such a process, dude. Like, this
it's
whole,
a process, because it was just, it's so engraved in us to, like, have this idea of family, you know. And, like, you know when you're dating a toxic boyfriend, you know when you have a toxic friend.
Do you? Oh, toxic. I feel like sometimes, I mean, at least for me, like toxic friends, toxic boyfriends, it took me like a long time to realize it. I just see the good in everybody for as long as I possibly can.
Me, that's literally
yeah,
me.
no.
That's okay. That's one of my biggest flaws, and it took me a lot, and I'm still working on it. I'm a very forgiving person, and this particular family member that I've talked about, I've forgiven them, and you know, to make the story have a happier ending, I am the closest I've ever been to this person, and I'm very thankful for that amount of time that I gave myself to be away from this person, because if it wasn't for that, what is it? Distance makes the heart grow fonder, or something like that, whatever the saying is. But I do think that it wouldn't have worked that way if this person didn't also do self-reflection and realize that they, in fact, were hurting me a lot. Because this person was able to take accountability and say, I fucked up. And I am so, so sorry, because I never knew I was hurting you that much.
What do you think made them do that self-reflection or realize that they were in the wrong?
I think, honestly, I think it was a way that when I talked to this person about everything, I always said, put yourself in my shoes. And I said, flip the roles. How would you feel? And I made this person tell me how they would feel. And I said, no, like, answer the question, would you like this? If I had done this to you, would you have liked it? And of course they said no. And I think it was that. I would like to think that it was that. And I would hope that that is something that helped them realize, like, yeah, like I really fucked up. Because, again, I brought up two people. There's a third person, but this one I'm not, like, quite ready to talk about. But this one I also, like, had to cut off as well. And I was like, the same thing that I said. I was like, I forgive you, but I think, like, what you caused me goes back to, like, my childhood, and it hurt me in ways that you can't even imagine, because it was when I was still, like, literally, your brain is still developing.
Yeah, it was like your brain is still developing.
Your brain is developing. So imagine hearing, like, negative things, like, one person giving you this, like, certain things, and then this person saying, like, you don't deserve that, like, you don't deserve any of this, like, basically, like, I started to believe that I was really a horrible person, right? And this is one that I like, I have forgiven, but I'm still like, oh no, I just, like,
boundaries.
It's very hard, and it's very hard, and again, you can love someone so much, but not, and it's not that I don't like this person, it's just that this is something that I haven't let go of, because I haven't done the proper work to get over this, and you know, and I don't think we've had the proper conversation where it's, like, taking accountability and stuff like that. Like, yes, we've had a very deep convo about it, and I was like, this is how you made me feel, and, like, I need you to know, and this and that, but somewhere there, I just haven't gotten to a point where I'm, like, 100%. I respect the person. I will talk to the person. I haven't, like, cut them off completely, but this one was one person that I did for a really, really long time, like, did not talk to. And it was hard, because this person, I felt like when it came to this person, I was always curious to know how they were doing, but I would go through, like, another person to ask how they were doing, because I couldn't reach out. And yeah, it was really hard. I don't want to cry, but yeah, it was really hard.
It's okay to cry. I was trying not to cry, and I cried.
Yeah,
I cry.
I felt like I felt guilty. I feel like, because, you know, they were going through a really hard time, and I didn't reach out directly, but I was like, I'm still so hurt, you know. And I kind of had to, like, tell myself, like, yes, it's fucked up that you didn't reach out, but at the same time, like, I was looking out for the child inside of me that was still really hurt.
Yes. No, I love it. And I think, like, thank you guys for speaking up and, like, starting a whole new trend of protecting your peace.
I hope our kids don't have to have a podcast on how they're talking about the generational trauma.
Yeah, it really, like, thank you both for speaking up about this topic. It's honestly beautiful to hear that you guys are not even at a point yet where you have children and you already having these ideas, this state of mind, like this mindset of
being better.
I'm gonna do me first. I'm gonna protect me. It's my life. It's not anyone else's life, and I'm gonna live it the best. I love it, and I think that's what we need. And I hope that this conversation and these type of topics and ideas can give other people the confidence to do the same. That if they're in a shitty situation, you can get yourself out of it.
Yeah.
And you don't have to stay in whatever shitty situation is toxic for you.
Yeah.
So
put those boundaries up.
Yes. And thank you, therapy.
Thank you, therapy. Thank you, Zoloft.
Yes. That's like, yeah, for sure. Like, one thing that I, like, told myself this year, I told myself, this year is all about you. Fuck everybody else. Focus on yourself. And if someone in your life doesn't want to act right, it's not your job to understand them.
Yeah.
Let them be.
Yeah. Well, you guys, we have our first YouTube episode up. We have Instagram. We have TikTok.
We just started our TikTok,
Facebook.
so we'll leave that in the description so you guys can follow.
What else?
So
that's it. Facebook page, Instagram, YouTube. TikTok.
We'll be on Apple Podcasts soon. Possibly Spotify. We're still working out everything, but hey, it's a work in progress.
Yeah, I hope you guys keep tuning in. We have so many more ideas for so many more episodes. Yes. I can't wait to start having, like, our friends come on here and start talking about, like, the cool ass shit they do in their lives.
Yes. I love it.
What an episode, man.
Congrats to us. We did that.
Yeah.
All right. See you guys later.
Bye.
Bye.